How will it work? When will it arrive?
Well, I would say the first answer to that is I think we've had a vaccine passport from the beginning, essentially. I think our PEI pass has been working as a vaccine passport. And that has allowed us to maintain a level of security and safety here from COVID that perhaps other jurisdictions haven't been able to have. I think as we look to the future, we look to events getting, as Dr. Morrison has said, getting to max capacity or close to max capacity for the foreseeable future. I believe venues are going to need to demonstrate proof of vaccine. You said it a little bit more articulately than I have, but essentially, if I think in the foreseeable future in PEI, if you're looking to have large events and at a maximum capacity, you will be able to do that more so with those who are vaccinated than you would currently be able to do. So what it looks like, I think in the next 7 to 10 days or beyond, we'll probably be able to explain that in a little bit more detail, but it would be built upon the PEI pass that we have in place and trying to find a way to make that more maybe attachable to your phone and those types of things. So we want to make it as simple as possible for individuals to access and for those venues who host events to be able to verify. But I think, I think PEI will be like the rest of Canada and the world, really, that vaccine passports will be in our foreseeable future.
Follow-up question.
Sure. Did you need to add anything more to that, Dr. Moore?
I mean, I think the Premier's outlined that very well. I think it's going to be part of that movement towards the Step 5 and the reopening to allow some of those events to higher risk events where there's more people to participate. And I think we'll certainly be speaking much more about it in the next couple of weeks.
In other provinces, we're hearing that you need a vaccine passport that will get you into private enterprise places, maybe a store or a pub or a bar. Listening to you today, it sounds like you're suggesting on PEI we're only going to be dealing with sort of larger mass gatherings, or could it come down to the retail level, so to speak?
I think at this point it's fair to say that I think we have a lot of policy work to do yet on this in this area, and that will be. The team is looking at the evidence, what's happening in other parts of the country, and so that decision really has not been made yet.
You have more? Go ahead. Yeah.
Is there a timeline attached to it? Any idea when we'll hear more?
I think, as we've been saying here, over the next 7 to 10 to 14 days, we have some groups within our midst who are working on what the bones of this could look like. At first, we'll need to come as a policy from CPHO, which I know they're working on developing, of how it would work and what it needs to entail. But I think, before October gets too far in, that we would have something in place. Is that as firm of wishy-washy commitment as we can make on that? But I look as soon as possible, but very early into October would be our hope and goal.
And is a vaccine passport actually truly necessary? Because we have border controls. It's kind of unique in Atlantic Canada. It's very effective. There's no community spread. We all breathe a sigh of relief when once again we hear that they're travel-related, they're self-isolating. Contacts tracing has been done. What further layer really can practically be added to an effective system already?
Well, I guess a couple of things. One, I share that relief, that sigh of relief every time we know that someone has been isolating and we're able to identify a case early. But I also know that have some limited capacity at our points of entry, especially as we go into the winter for testing, and I think it's as we move towards a long term in the next few months of what this could look like. I think this may be one additional measure that we can put in place, and we may not be able to have people at our points of entry forever, and so I think so there'll be certainly a transition period. I think we're looking at all the options at this point in time.
Yeah, and I think tremendous job of keeping Islanders safe. Islanders have worked so hard to keep themselves safe, and that's been a great success story here. We have, measures in place that have allowed us to maintain a higher quality of life for the most part through this pandemic than most. I think we're all uneasy when we hear about the Delta variant, when we hear about a fourth wave. It's startling for some. It was for me to find out when you hear it spelled out, as Dr. Morrison has, that 43,000 Islanders don't have a vaccine. That seems like a big number. Now I know there's 19,000 12 and under who can't get one at this time, but still that's a higher number than would seem normal to me, for having all we've gone through here. So because of that, because there's still a limited capacity within our healthcare system and facilities to deal with an outbreak should it come, when you go to the hospital with COVID and you're not vaccinated, they don't treat you differently in there, but you might need more care and might have more strain on the system than we're able to deal with. And that's why we have to have these increased, levels of security in place. And we hope to not have them forever, but for the time being, that's the reality. And our primary job remains to keep Islanders as safe as we can keep them.
One last question. So the passport, vaccine passport may replace border controls?
Say that yet. I think at this point in time, it's one additional measure that we need to be put in place, especially for higher risk type of events or larger scale events, to help businesses and organizations increase the capacity within those events. Right now, they're extremely limited in terms of the cohorts that are in place and the physical distancing. And this may allow some reduction in the physical distancing, still maintaining some cohorts, and increase the number of people who are in these venues. But there's no one's pulling out of the bridge at this point.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Is it Steve?
Yes, hello to you both. We've heard from some travelers from outside Atlantic Canada that say they were not tested at the bridge, possibly because things were so busy there and they were trying to move things along. Can you clarify whether that has indeed been happening? If that's the process, that if it's particularly busy, you limit just how much testing you're doing at the bridge?
So I think we've answered that question a couple of times through certainly written responses too, but there have been very few occasions, and we have the documented times and places that those have